Welcome back to Satisfactory episode 8. At the end of the last episode, I explained how we're going to move now to nuclear power plants. We started with those small biomass burner, then coal generator, then fuel generator, and now we have those huge nuclear power plants, which will require obviously quite a few things. We're going to need to build encased uranium cells, we're going to need sulfuric acid, we're going to need electromagnetic control rod, all this to make at the end uranium fuel cell, and of course some water and all of this. I told you I'm thinking of doing it over here, and I also said we're gonna use our train network, that's all the way over here, to deliver a lot of the resources that are needed, like copper, quick wires, etc. Well, I lied. No, I didn't lie, I just changed my mind. Let's move into the future. So what do I mean when I say I lied? Basically, I am not using the train network at all. I just rebuilt everything over here. We're bringing, the copper from there. We're bringing quick wires from there. We're bringing coal from over here. And we're then transforming everything over here to then make nuclear. We are actually at the point where I think I have built most of the buildings. You can see most of them are green because this is just starting, and I'm starting to build some nuclear plants. I haven't put online many. Actually, to be honest, there is only one that is online. This is this one over here. This is actually the only one that is online. You may remember that before we were around 17,000 and now we have moved to 19,000 because of the 2,500. This is again the only one that's online, and frankly I put it online a bit earlier than I wanted because I'm not ready with everything else, for the one and easy reason that I was running out of energy. My consumption was getting to 17, 18,000, which was more obviously than the 16,000 we are making, and that's why you can see my batteries were actually not full. They were actually going down and down. Now they are going finally back up, now that we have one of these on. The other ones are not on yet. This one has water but no fuel, for example. This one has fuel but no water, so I still need to do some more work, but I wanted to show you that this is the time where we just went online with our first nuclear power plant. Now, by the way, the other thing we're gonna need to quickly start doing is take care of the waste, which I haven't started to do. And that's why I'm saying, I was putting it online a bit earlier than I wanted. I will go into details on everything, in a second, but I did want to explain quickly why I changed my mind. The main reason I changed my mind is because I wanted this to be almost like a self-sustaining thing. It's like, even if the rest of my, map doesn't work for some reason, this should still work. I shouldn't rely on deliveries of train or whatever to have my energy, because that's basically going to be the energy of the future, right? So I wanted to make sure. And by the way, look at how pretty this is over here when it's on. I love it, because this one is not on, this one is. So yes, that's why I decided to make it completely self-sustainable. So I'll show you the different base, like we have a new base over here, over there, etc. But before, let me stabilize this a bit more. Welcome back 1 hour later, and we have a lot more of those nuclear facilities. It's very dark right now, it's completely night, but look at this sky, amazing. But with this being night, you can clearly see that everything is green, right? All of those buildings over here, they're all green, they're all working 100%. For a nuclear facility of 30 nuclear plants, so turning them all on, we're talking about 75,000 megawatts. This is huge. Remember that up until now, I've been only using something like 16,000, and then with all of this I have 75,000. So we're definitely going to cover a lot today, starting with the nuclear cave, new copper, new quick wire, new steel and new concrete production, then how we're making stators, AI limiters and encased industrial beams needed for all of this, then how we're actually making the uranium product, the uranium fuel rod in particular, that's the last one, and then showing you that we have put online a couple of the nuclear plants, not all to be honest, but they're ready to be put on. The reason I have not put them all on is because nuclear creates nuclear waste. This is what you can see over here, those fluorescent barrels, right? They're creating waste, which for now I'm putting into another nuclear cave. So we're gonna talk about this, but basically that's going to lead us to the last milestone of the game, where with this we're gonna be able to treat this nuclear waste. So then in the next episode we can treat this nuclear waste to make this basically a forever factory, because right now, as I said, it's creating waste which is basically being stored inside this cave, but at some point that's gonna get full, so that's not so great. Let's wait for sunrise and then I'll show you the first thing, which is the nuclear cave behind over here the water drop. Okay, here we are, the sun is coming out and you can see the factory. So here is where we're gonna do all of the uranium thing. Here is where we're doing a lot of the intermediary, what I call intermediary products, like the stators, AI limiters, etc. And then here we have my 30 nuclear power plants. To be precise, actually 29. I couldn't fit one nicely there. I decided to just put 29. That way it will always work, 100%. And I have an awesome thing to make sure that it does. We have some water, etc. over here. But before, as I promised, let's go down into the cave. So it's starting to get dark because we are quite low and there's a lot. But yeah, we are inside the cave. Of course, there was a lot of spiders over here, so be careful. But yeah, we have this cave over here full of uranium. There's a lot of, those small uranium pieces, but more importantly, there is an actual uranium mine there, right? This is perfect, a normal node. So putting 3 power shards on this Mark III, we're talking about 600 uranium, which again is what I need for 30 nuclear power plants. So it's coming up there, right? We have some of those stairs if needed, goes all the way down and then comes into my base. So that is the first nuclear cave. But if you remember from my introduction, there is a second nuclear cave on the other side over there. Before, let's talk about the different resources. We have copper, quick wire, steel, and concrete, which were needed for nuclear. By the way, if you don't remember exactly what you need to make nuclear, right, don't hesitate to check in the previous video. I explained it all. So first we're gonna go over here, which is close to my mega base, because this is where I've started to do a lot of copper. I say a lot because look at this, we have 2 belt Mark V, and this is indeed making a lot of copper out of just one mine. I'm gonna show you how. It's actually a pretty clean look, right? I'm going to talk about the numbers. As you can see, as always, it is perfectly green, right? All of them are green, they're working 100% because we have those 2 awesome sinks there to make sure that any surplus is synced. So yes, as I said, it's only one miner, and it's a miner, actually a normal one. So we're talking about 600 of copper ore, but instead of burning it into, smelter, we're gonna send it into a refinery. And in these refineries, we're gonna add water to make a lot of copper. Because look at this, it's just 15 of copper is going to meet, because look at this, 15 of copper is going to make 37.5. Right, so it's a lot more than obviously the normal recipe, because the normal recipe over here is just 30 to 30, so basically 1 to 1. Here we're talking about more than 1 to 2, right? More than 1 to 2, so that's a really good one. So basically my 600 that's coming from the mine is going to be transformed into 1,500, which is exactly why we need 2 belts, which you can see by the way over here at the entrance of this mini factory. 750 on that side, 750 on this side. So we basically have 2 factories right into one. You can see the first one is over here and then the second one is over there. We're basically talking about 20 refineries in each, so 14 total. And then we don't need that much water, 4 of these is enough water for all of it. And that's actually only 1 pipe, right? 1 pipe Mark II. So I'm not gonna spend too long, obviously don't hesitate if you have any question, but you can see it is the classic where at level 1 I'm putting the water because you don't want to send it up, and we have the second input at level 3, which is our copper, and then at level 1 on the other side we have the product, the output, right, that's being merged. Here it's splitted, merge, etc. Now you may have realized that I didn't do what I did last time, which was to put one refinery like this and one slightly offset, something like this, so that the input is on the same side, because that just wasn't looking so great. So instead what we're doing is just putting them one line at a time. Again, don't hesitate to tell me if you have any questions, but nothing really new here except we're using the alternate pure copper ingot recipe to make a lot. And then as I said, you know, we're sending those two directly into my base. Now while we're here, we have a couple of other things happening. The first one is over here right in the back. We have one limestone node, 600, right, normal one. So we're then transforming it over here into concrete, right? All of this making concrete, we're sending the concrete up and it goes over here. Then we're also making quick wires, right? This quick wires is actually coming from here in the back. We have one miner, it's actually a pure one, so 780. Comes over here and it goes, you know, into the normal recipe, 45 into 15. So we decrease by quite a lot. But at the same time, at the end, we transform then the ingots into a lot of quick wires, right? So that is why we still actually have over here 2 belts, and you can see the numbers like previously over here. And by the way, you can see all of the numbers. We're talking about 650 and 650 for each of those lines. And for the concrete, it's also divided by 3, so it's 200 only. So that's what's happening there. Plus, lastly, we have also a miner Mark III on iron over here. That's going to send some iron to the base there. This iron will be used to make steel, right? So if I look, I mean, over here, right, we have talked about the copper, quick wire, and one concrete. There is a second concrete, and we're sending over here also some iron into the base. We are sending quite a few things into the base, you will see. There is also over here another miner Mark III for iron, 780, sorry. So all of this being sent up. So there's a lot of things as concrete, quick wire, but also iron, all coming over here to the top. Here it is. We can walk there, see the landscape, but more importantly, we're going to quickly arrive at the base, right? At the nuclear base. We're going to make at the top over here a lot of steel. Remember, this is what we're missing. To make this steel, we're also going to need on top of the iron, of course, a number of coal. That's what's coming from there. You know, I'm not even going to go there. It's just 2 miners of coal, goes up, comes here, and then it's going to make a lot of steel, right? This is the classic where we have at level 0 or level 1, if you prefer, the iron ore, and then at level 3 we have the coal. It goes down into all of those foundries, and on the outside it's getting merged, right, in terms of outside products. And therefore with this we're making 600 of steel for each of those lines. And then I'm starting to send what I need into the factory. The reality is, even with the 600 of uranium, I don't really need that much. So yes, all of this was a bit overkill, but it can be useful for the future. So what we're gonna use is one of the concrete, one of the quick wire, one of the steel. They're all going down, you know, right at the bottom. And at the bottom, we're also going to have 2 other things. One is there is a miner over here of sulfur. I showed it in the previous episode if you missed it. And then if we go even lower, we're going to have also one more concrete there, right? We have one more limestone, transform over here all of this into concrete, right? And then the concrete is sent back up. So that is indeed a lot of small new factories taking advantage of the miner Mark III, of the conveyors Mark V, right? And with this, we're gonna be able to do those stators, AI limiters, and these industrial, in-case industrial beams, sorry. So that's what's happening over here. You know, we're sending, as I said, this steel, this quick wire, and this concrete. So first we're gonna take some steel to make steel beams. That's what's happening over here, right? We're making steel beams. Then the steel beams is going to go here with some concrete to make the in-case steel beams, right? So that's what's happening over here. Then those steel beams gonna be sent up. I'll show you in the future. Then on top of this, we're going to send quick wires, right? So we have quick wires over here, and we also need copper. The copper is coming from there, right? So the copper is going to make first some copper sheet. So we're sending those copper sheet over here plus the quick wire into these to make AI limiters, right? Then for the copper, while on this line we're making the copper sheet all the way over here, on this line we're going to make wire, right? That's what's happening over here, making a lot of wires, as you can see. Then those wires are coming there. And then we have a number of those assemblers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, that are making the stators. So steel pipes and stators. Now the steel pipes are actually coming from over here, right? We were making steel beams there, and we continue, and these ones are making steel pipes. So that's being merged there, and then it goes into all of those assemblers. And as I said, those assemblers are making stators. So with this, we've started to make stators, we've started to make the air limiters and the in-case industrial beams. I will flash again at the end of the episode, the exact number, so you will be able to see them. But that's what's happening over here. It's all of the stators, air limiters, and in-case industrial beams that we need to be able to take care of those 30 nuclear reactors. So the in-case industrial beams are sent upstairs into logistic floors, while the air limiters and stators are just sent across on the other side to a number of assemblers over here, which will make the electromagnetic control rods, right? Then these control rods are merge, and go up. So into also, as I said, this floor, logistic floor, right? Where you can see you have the rods over here, and you have the in-case industrial beams, and then both of these are gonna go right into these manufacturers, right? So these manufacturers are gonna take the in-case industrial beams and electromagnetic control rod, but also in-case uranium cells. This is 15, if I remember correctly, right? You have 7 and 8 here. You can see that they're getting those two things we just saw from below. They are getting something from upstairs, and they are sending their output upstairs. Now, the reason I did this is because the upstairs is the radioactive floor. Basically, everything over here is radioactive, so you may not want to walk there, versus this one, there's nothing radioactive, so we can walk there, no problem. So as I said, the main thing we're missing now is in-case uranium cells, which are actually made over there. They are made into those blenders. This is uranium plus concrete plus sulfuric acid. And this is also making sulfuric acid that we need to take care of. As I just said before, everything that's radioactive is going to be sent or taken from up. So this is sent up, and the uranium also comes from up. Now we do need, again, one thing new, which is the sulfuric acid, and we need the concrete. The concrete is coming from here. That's the one we were doing downstairs, right? All the way over here. And the sulfuric acid is made out of sulfur, which is why we have the sulfur there, going into those refineries. I think it was 8 or 9. Again, I'll show you the number in a second. So we're taking the sulfur plus water to make sulfuric acid. The water is coming, there's a big fluid buffer, but it's basically coming from down. You can see the pipe over here, because actually below all of my nuclear plants, there is a lot of water. Now, I haven't put any of these on because I don't really need them, but I built them so that, in the future, if I need them, I'm ready. And right now, we're only using those two. They are overclocked, as you can see, just so that I only use 2, but I could use those 2 also and it would be fine. So that is how we're bringing water, right? Water is coming here with the sulfur, and then we're making the acid. So the acid comes over here, and then it goes into this main pipe in the middle. We are creating also sulfuric acid as an output. So that is why you have this pipe there, and also that pipe there, which, by the way, they have 2 valves or 1 valve for each, to make sure that there's nothing that goes this way, but it's more everything that is pushed this way goes that way. And obviously there is also you have to make sure that you don't overproduce too much, and so that is why this one is actually underclocked. So I'm producing the right amount of sulfuric acid. And yes, with this we're making the in-case uranium cells, right, which will go up, as we said. So they're going up there and up there. They're being merged into one line here, right? And then this one line goes over here and starts going down into all of the manufacturer we just saw. And then those manufacturers, their output comes over here. It's being merged into this line. So this is obviously a floor where we don't do much, but again, also, as I said, it's a radioactive floor, so we don't really want to be there. Now, I do have, as I said, also a smart splitter to make sure that in many years, when this is really full, because I only have 29 instead of 30 nuclear plants, it can just be synced there. But otherwise, it's going to continue there. It's going to continue there and go down into the nuclear plants. Now, before we talk about the nuclear plants, let me remind you that the uranium is coming from the cave, goes up there, goes here, and then goes down here, right, in between the blenders. So that's what's happening there. You know, everything working at 100% productivity. There is no surplus anywhere. As promised, let's relook at the numbers for a second. Now, we're talking about 30 nuclear plants. That means 75,000 of energy. Right, it does require a lot of water, of course. Over here, we have the final, buildings. We need 7.5 assemblers to make the electromagnetic control rod. We need 15 manufacturers to make actually those 6 uranium fuel rods. It's really not a lot. Out of 600 of uranium, we're only making 6 fuel rods. We have the 12 blenders, right, that are making those in-case uranium cells, and then 8 refineries. So 8 refineries is going to be too much, because if you look at this, 8 refineries is going to make 400, and 400 plus 120, which we're making also in the blenders, this is going to be 520 versus the 480 that you need. So this is why my number 8 is basically underclocked. Now, to do this, we're going to need 45 stators, 30 AI limiters, and 18 in-case industrial beams. So this is what you can see over here, right? We're going to need, for example, 9 assemblers to make the stators, which requires almost 7 constructors for the steel pipes, 12 constructors for the wires, 15 for the copper sheet, 6 assemblers for the air limiters, etc, etc. So all the numbers are here. Feel free to take a screenshot, tell me if you have any questions, thoughts or requests. But yeah, basically I'm pretty happy, this is really working well. And so with this, I've been able to start putting some of those power plants online. Not all, but some of them. So we moved from basically production of energy that was around 17,000 to now 29,000. And this is because only those 5s are on. None of the other are on, but I can put them on very quickly. For this one, for example, I can just click here and it's gonna go on. We can see it now, it's gonna jump on. Now we're at 31,000, almost 32,000, right? So this is not a problem. The only problem is it creates waste, as I said. So let me show you a bit how it's working over here. We're sending all of the roads there, right? Then we're gonna have smart splitter to start sending them, right? So for example, there is one over here, and there's one for that one. It continues, right? One here, one there, one here, one there, etc. This is the first input. The second input is water. So water comes from down and it goes over here. We have, over here the junction to send on both sides. And then we do have an output too, right? Which is this uranium waste. So this is why over here I have, an elevator to go into this merger. On the other side, also an elevator with a bit of clipping just because I was getting a bit tired. I think if I just turn this, let's do it live. If I just turn it on the other side, it should be fine and have no clipping at all. There it is. See, no clipping at all now. So anyway, we have the output that goes there, and as you saw, just then goes over here. It does require a lot of water though. We're talking about 240 for each of the nuclear plants, right? So this is 480, which is why it's a Mark II, and we're gonna need basically one belt or one pipe for 2 nuclear plants. Each time you have 2, you need one of those pipes. So that's what I've done over here, right? You can see there's 5 pipes, now they go up. Now I showed you we have a lot of water underneath, but we also have water over here. So that's what I've been using over there, right? We're talking about 120 for one, if it's not underclocked. So 4 of these, a block of 4 is going to be good for a block of 2. That's basically what's happening. Those 4 are the first pipe, then those 4 over here are the second pipe, those 4 over here are the third pipe, then we have 4 more over here, and then here I only have space for 3, so I just overclock this one a bit. But that's basically what's happening over here. We have the 5 pipes that are going there. So basically all of these here are piped. Those 10 ones are piped. Now I haven't fully piped those 10 ones and those 10 ones in terms of water, but I did belt mostly everything else, right? So I just need to add water. Now to add water, as I said, we have water underneath and we have more water there. So it wouldn't be a problem in the future if needed. But the reality is I don't really think we even need those ones anytime soon. What we do need is for me to show you what's happening to this waste, right? You can see it's being merged there, goes all the way here. And then let's follow this belt. We are just on the belt. We're going to go into another cave, right? We have a second cave on the other side of this waterfall. Love it. I think, the water is like cleaning this. And then, I just put basically a couple of industrial storage where you put one, on this side, and then you turn, and then you turn again. And so you can easily do something like this, right? Where it comes in, comes out, and you do the same on the other side. So this way they're going to fill themselves in and out, right? You don't have to check it. And then I can add more and more and more and more, but that's not sustainable. I mean, you can see over here, for example, we have already not filled the first one, but we're making progress in filling this first one. And obviously this is super radioactive, so you can't then build anything over here, and that's gonna be a disaster. So what we want to do is start taking care of this waste. Unfortunately, this waste cannot be sent into non-some sink. That would be easy, too easy, I would say. You cannot do that. To do anything with this, we need to unlock the last milestone of the game, or at least of the early access in tier 8. So let's go back to our hub so I can show you this. Of course, again, don't hesitate if you have any question about this nuclear facility. It's actually not that big, right? Considering everything we're producing, and in particular the amount of energy that we're producing, but I'm really happy with it. And here we are, ladies and gents, for the final milestone of tier 8. Hopefully with version 1 we're gonna get more tiers, but right now this is the ultimate milestone of the game, which is going to unlock the nuclear pasta, which we definitely need for phase 4, but more importantly, it's going to give us access to plutonium pellet, plutonium cell, and plutonium fuel rod, and we can use our waste to make some of this, and then we can send this into the awesome sink, making our nuclear plant sort of 100% sustainable. So it is unlocking quite a few new things, and also a new building, the particle accelerator, which obviously looks amazing. It does also take quite advanced resources, basically everything we've been making the last few episodes. So if you missed any of these, don't hesitate to check them out in the video description below. We're gonna need the cooling system, we're gonna need the fuse modular frame, the turbo motor, and last but not least, something we just made today in this episode, the electromagnetic control rod. Let's select it, let's deliver everything, and then in the next episode we can do nuclear waste. I hope you're excited. Smash like button and join me next week for nuclear waste and building this new particle accelerator. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you next time.